Hi and welcome back to War Thunder Tutorials. This time we're moving from the cramped cities to a much wider location. We're going to be using hills and huge rocks for cover instead of houses. Welcome to White Rock Fortress. Most of this map is occupied by a ruined fortress, which in turn is surrounded by several defensive perimeters. Well, what's left of them. The walls and battlements are cracked and broken, the guard towers stand beheaded, while the keep has been completely wrecked. Even in such state, certain portions of the fortress can reliably shield you from the enemy fire, while most others have multiple shooting venues and openings through which you can be shot and destroyed from halfway across the map. You will have to plan your attack well, avoiding as much open ground as possible, or else you risk becoming an easy frag. Let's take a look at the map when playing Domination. It has 3 capture points. Capture point A is located on a wide open hollow. Seizing it is possible only after a thorough clearing of the approaches leading to it. Immediately behind it are a couple of flanking approaches. These are suitable for swift hunters such as the M18, but certainly not for heavy tanks, since they lack speed to do anything useful in there. Moving on to capture point C. Here, both sides must fight for several barrack-like buildings. The players coming from the northeastern base can reach this place just a bit earlier than others. This advantage is slight, but can seriously improve your chances of finding an opening to outflank the defenders. For example, the wall on this steep hill has a breach in it. You can move up there, just barely, scraping the bastion wall as you climb along. You can also drive through the moat, but you risk getting exposed and shot by players moving towards the map's center. Well, as to the bravest, you usually attack head-on. Suffice to say, you usually fail. Finally, the very middle of the map, the ruined keep. It has 3 points of entry, one from the northeastern base, another from the southwestern base, and one more from capture point A. Battles for the zone are invariably difficult, but pretty important. Once captured, this area allows you to effectively cover and defend capture point C, plus it gives you an option to attack the enemy rear. More often than not, you can punch through the enemy defenses from here and dominate their rear positions. Here's one of the most effective ways of playing this map. If you spawn in the northeast, you should send 4 to 5 players into the middle to seize it ASAP. 5 more players should go to the capture point C and lock down all major paths from there. The remaining players can do some good at the outer perimeter. They can hold the enemy advance, outflank using lighter vehicles, or engage the enemy at long range with heavy tanks, essentially covering 2 other groups of your team. If you spawn in the northwest, you will have to take 2 spawn points spread away from each other. We recommend sending a large group of players towards the bridge leading to the middle. Another, but smaller unit of players must seize capture point A, while the remainder of your force must hold off the enemy at capture point C. Taking it from the get-go is hard. You will be better off waiting for the aircraft support or wait for your allies to provide some cover from the center. When you feel that the tide is turning in your favor, try and attack the enemy from the outer perimeter. You're bound to meet some resistance along the way there, but should you succeed, you will surprise and crush the enemy utterly. Here's some general words of advice for White Rock Fortress. Number 1. Do not rely too much on heavy aircraft such as bombers. All the airfields on this map are located at a considerable range from the AO, while the fortress itself has plenty of cover from bombs. Instead of a heavy bomber, which can be shot down on approach before it can even drop its bombs, go for a rocket or bomb-armed fighter or a swift ground powder. This way you will easily avoid AAA fire, deliver your payload more reliably, and spot some targets for your allies on the ground. Number 2. Avoid the walls. Yes, you can in fact drive onto the wall and fire from the battlements, but just don't. The battlements were designed for people, not tanks, and naturally are rather small and will not allow you to escape easily once you're spotted and being fired at. The only reason to use the wall as a firing position is to attack the enemy once his spawn is completely surrounded and you control the map in its entirety. Number 3. Think aggressively. If you can push the enemy back into a spawn and lock him in there, do it. Can you hide your tank in an enemy half of the map and pick him off one by one? That is a good solution as well. Remember, this map has a huge selection of shooting venues and approaches to all of the capture points. If you can find some uncommon but effective hiding spot and destroy several enemies from there, assume this position by all means. Last but not least is number 4. You can get behind enemy lines by driving through the moat. If the going gets too tough, this is the perfect time to try this risky but effective maneuver. This is it for this episode. We're Thunder Tutorials, signing out.